two governments know her name. Neither one has been able to stop her. Leisha Gonzalez. She wakes up every morning in a $1 million mansion in Riverside, California. She drives to work, runs a small business, and lives inside American suburban life with the kind of ease that most people spend their whole lives chasing. Somewhere in a government database, her name sits on an active arrest warrant that she has been outrunning for years. The lifestyle of Mencho's daughter is one that should keep you up at night. Not because it is dangerous, because it is not. Because Leisha looks completely, almost impossibly normal. And that is the whole point. She is everything her father was not. The people who should have caught her by now have the resources of two nations behind them: the DEA, Mexican federal authorities, and intelligence networks that have dismantled some of the most powerful criminal organizations on the planet. And Leisha is out there right now, moving through Southern California as if none of it applies to her. Every single person close to her has been arrested, extradited, sentenced, or killed. She is the last one standing. That is not an accident. There is something about the way this woman operates, the life she chose, the way she built it, that has made her untouchable in a world where nobody stays untouchable for long. When you see the full picture of who Leisha is, where she came from, what she did, and how she is living right now, you will understand why her story is unlike anything else coming out of the cartel world today. Leisha did not stumble into this life. Every single piece of it was planned before she was old enough to understand what was being built around her. Around 2001, somewhere in California, Leisha entered the world as an American citizen. Not by chance, by design. Her parents understood something that most cartel families never figure out until it is too late. A U.S. birth certificate is the most powerful document in the criminal world. It is insurance. It is an exit route. It is a wall that even the most aggressive federal prosecution struggles to get through. Her father could not go back to the United States. He had been deported after federal drug charges in Sacramento in 1992. That door was closed permanently. Her mother, Rosalinda Gonzalez Valencia, came from a family that had spent decades learning how to move money and people across borders without leaving a trail. Together, they understood that their children needed options they never had themselves. So, Leisha was born in America. She grew up watching two completely different worlds operate side by side. The cartel world of Jalisco, the armed convoys, the safe houses, the violence underneath everything. And the American world, open borders, legal protections, a passport that nobody questions at a checkpoint. She was the youngest of 3 children. Her brother was being groomed as the heir. Her sister was being pulled into the financial operations. But Leisha, the quietest of the 3, was being given something more valuable than either of those roles. She was being given the ability to disappear into plain sight. And what she did with that ability is what nobody saw coming. And that plan worked, better than anyone in her family could have predicted. While the cartel world around her was producing headlines, military operations, and federal indictments, Leisha was building something that generated none of those things. A life in Southern California that looked from every direction like it belonged to someone with nothing to hide. The mansion in Riverside is not what most people picture when they hear the words cartel and daughter in the same sentence. No armed guards rotating shifts at the gate. No convoys of armored vehicles parked out front. No gold-plated anything. It is a home in a suburb, a place where people mow their lawns on weekends and neighbors wave at each other from driveways. $1.2 million sitting in one of the most ordinary corners of Southern California. And then there is the coffee shop. That detail alone is almost impossible to sit with. Her father owned more than 100 Japanese restaurants across Mexico and never once walked into any of them publicly. He built legitimate business fronts as cover and stayed as far from them as possible. Leisha went in the opposite direction entirely. She stepped behind the counter. She showed up. She became the face of something small, visible, and completely legal. Her father survived by being invisible. Leisha is surviving by being seen, but never as who she actually is. She moves through California with a valid passport, a legitimate address, and a business that files its paperwork like any other small operation on the block. The people ordering their drinks have no idea who is handing them their change. But here is what nobody has fully explained yet: how a woman with warrants in one country built all of this so cleanly in another. Because the answer to that question starts in a place that looks nothing like Riverside, California. November 15th, 2021. Zapopan, Jalisco. A Walmart parking lot. Middle of the day. Two Mexican Navy members, trained military personnel, were taken in broad daylight by a team that knew exactly what it was doing. No hesitation, no chaos. A coordinated operation executed in minutes and then gone. Leisha is 20 years old. Earlier that same day, Mexican authorities had arrested her mother, Rosalinda Gonzalez Valencia. The woman who had spent years managing over 70 businesses used to launder cartel money, the financial brain of an entire criminal empire, now in government custody. And within hours of that arrest, Leisha and her husband El Gaucho made a decision that would change everything. The plan was to grab military personnel and trade them, force the government into a hostage exchange, release the mother, or let the sailors disappear. It is the kind of logic that only makes sense when you have grown up in a world where violence is the first solution and human lives are leverage. They were held for 4 days. 4 days of the Mexican government launching search operations through Jalisco cartel-controlled territory, knowing that every civilian in those zones could be reporting back to the cartel. On November 19th, both sailors were found alive near Puerto Vallarta. The female was unharmed. The male had been beaten. The plan had failed completely. The Mexican government did not negotiate. Rosalinda stayed in custody. Leisha became a wanted fugitive overnight. Arrest warrants were issued. Her name was attached to the kidnapping of military personnel, one of the most serious charges the Mexican legal system carries. Everything she had built, the clean image, the American life, suddenly had a very dark foundation underneath it. But what happened next is the part of this story that nobody fully saw coming. She ran north. The passport her parents had planned before she was born became the most important thing she owned. El Gaucho smuggled himself through a Jalisco cartel tunnel near Tijuana, using a completely fabricated identity. Leisha crossed the border the easy way, through a checkpoint, with her own name, with documentation that no Mexican arrest warrant could touch on the other side of that line. And then she went back to building her life in Riverside, as if the warrant did not exist. One by one, everyone fell. Her brother was sentenced to life in a U.S. federal prison. Her sister received 30 months for money laundering. El Gaucho was tracked down, arrested, and sentenced to 11 years and 8 months after his false identity collapsed under federal scrutiny. Her mother was serving time. And then, February 22, 2026, Mexican Special Forces closed in on Talpa de Allende, Jalisco. Her father was killed. The entire dynasty was gone. And then photographers at the funeral captured something that stopped intelligence analysts cold. Leisha, standing there, in Mexico, at her father's burial, despite the warrants, despite the risk, despite the California life she had spent years constructing as her shield. She came anyway. That one moment tells you more about who Leisha Oseguera Gonzalez really is than anything else in this story. She is not just a woman who escaped. She is a woman who knows exactly how far she can push it and exactly when to pull back. Mexico wants her. The United States has not charged her, and the coffee shop in Riverside is still open.